You are about to enter a great adventure.
This is Strutting from Gorilla.
All right, folks, we're coming to you live on the road on 95 South. As Mikey Cash and Vito are heading back home. Vito and I just met the 1996 Olympic gold medalist, won the gold medal with a broken freaking neck. WWE Hall of Famer. It's true. He is. Kurt Angle. It was a great experience. I mean, really, from what? Arrival to departure?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we were at the Brooks Casino in Seabrook, New Hampshire.
That's right.
It was a really great event. Kurt Angle came out to a little entrance, had some sparklers, shook some hands, and took some pictures. It was really great.
They really gave it the Gilbert entrance there with those sparklers on the stage.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. Listen, I thought it got everyone excited. We were lucky enough to be one of the first people in line. There was a large amount of people there. I don't think they were expecting as many people as
they arrived. Yeah, so they definitely did. They weren't prepared for that, but they still handled it pretty well. So well run, like overall more organized than we've seen other signings with wrestlers. It's great. It was overall a great experience. Kurt's a nice guy.
Very nice guy. Yeah, I think it was great. I would do it again. We bought the VIP tickets, so we were lucky enough. We were actually one of the first people in line, like I said. Yeah, I thought it was great. I can't really say much about it. I will say I wish I said more to him than I actually did.
Oh, yeah.
But you also feel bad. There's a lot of people in line. You just got to keep it moving along, and that's what we did. So starting from Gorilla was there representing Kurt Angle.
That was awesome. I feel like I gained a lesson at the 3 Eyes tonight as we waited in line to see Kurt Angle. Then after meeting Kurt Angle, I felt like my intensity went up. You know?
I think that's true. Besides the Kurt Angle piece, though, a lot going on in wrestling, Mikey Cash.
So whatever could you mean?
We have the Stranger Things episode of Netflix coming up on January 5th. The world of WWE is going to experience the Upside Down.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be very exciting. I think personally that there's going to be some very good surprises. They've been really building this up. And one of the things I am predicting that's going to happen. And listen, call us far-fetched. I think on a probability standpoint, my predictions are usually like 1% correct. So, but we're gonna throw this one out there. I think Chris Jericho is gonna make his much anticipated return. I said this to you before. I think that he likes to make an entrance, likes to be very cryptic. I think that they're gonna do a little promo of the Stranger Things, and then it's gonna show the Upside Down, and then boom. You're going to hear Y2J's music, maybe a countdown. I don't know. But that's my personal prediction. They're really building this up. First episode of Netflix in 2026. So that's my prediction. I wanted to get that out there. What do you think on that?
Dude, honestly, if they did that would be pretty sweet. I would actually be all for it. I know that I could be kind of grouchy sometimes about this stuff, but, the way I'm feeling right now, I'm all for it. Just have a little fun with it. I think that'd be really cool. I think if anybody could pull something like that off, it would be Jericho. He's best suited for that kind of thing. Because he absolutely will lean in and believe in what he's selling you as his character, like as he reinvents. So there's nobody better suited to do something like this than Chris Jericho. And I think he's going to be especially motivated because, not for nothing, there's still always this like weird aura about people that like leave and come back or come from another company and come back. It's so it feels like those old days with like WCW. We've been like maybe trained to have this little like non WWE bias. I That's just how I feel. But so I'm thinking that Jericho's like cognizant of that thing. I think he's going to be like really wanting to prove himself here in this like final run that he's going to have.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think
And we're operating as if this is a foregone conclusion because now we're going to keep going with this.
I think he's back in the WWE. I think that's a done deal. I would put the Vito seal of approval on that one.
All right.
How he comes back though is going to be interesting. And like I said, he likes to do things a little bit more cryptic. Like every time he's come back, he always does like some weird thing. And I think everybody's expecting to come back in the Royal Rumble. I think that's too generic for him. I really do. I think that's too predictable. Whereas coming back on an episode like this first year, I think it sets the tone, and I do think it will be his final run. And I think there's a lot of great stuff that he can do in WWE with some new talent. And I think you made this point earlier about the fact that he can like reinvent himself very well. And I agree with that. Like he's the king of reinventing himself. And so I don't think he's going to put on 5-star matches, but I think we'll be able to see some new and unique stuff that will be pretty awesome.
I have this like idea in my head of like maybe it's just me like fantasy booking, which I'm trying to be careful about, but in this case, I'm gonna go with it. If part of his character is sort of like it would be interesting if like we got a little bit of everything during this run where it's almost like the gimmick itself is just it going over all the things that he did. And it could sort of end, like maybe it could end with like Millennium Man Chris Jericho, that version of him. I don't know, like that full-on Y2J character. I don't know. I'm just like kind of spitballing here. I think WWE is way more open to doing sort of like having like thematic elements, like to not just like the wrestling, but to like the story in between it. So I think if you were able to, maybe I'm a little too far-fetched out here, but I think that would kind of be like a really cool way for him to like say goodbye, that to sort of revisit all of the chapters along the way.
Well, let me ask you this question. Say he does come back. Does he use the Judas theme song? Or does he use Break the Walls Down? Or does he have a whole new entrance song?
All of the above. I think all of that's going to happen. I think at one point, we're going to get a little bit of everything. Because now what I just brought up before, that's like my fantasy booking. Now I'm expecting it to happen. So I'm already setting myself up.
Like for Three Faces of Jericho type of deal.
I kind of want to. I feel like that could be really fun. And I think somebody like Chris Jericho would be open to doing it. I think the way he tells stories, he would be open to something like that.
Be interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I think this is one of the few Raws that I've been looking forward to in a while. I mean, you also have CM Punk versus Braun Breaker for the title. We talked about this earlier. If you're listening, again, we're not on video today because we took a trek where this is SFG in the car.
That's right.
Ride along, SFG style, whatever you want to call it. But a few weeks ago, they had a great promo with Braun Breaker and CM Punk. And I talked about this earlier with you, how Braun Breaker came across. I thought he gave a decent promo. It said something about Lamar Jackson, and then CM Punk just roasted him. And it was to something along the effects of like, hey, you might be ready, but I'm not ready to leave. He said it comes with a lot of weight. And I think it was kind of a really big statement from CM Punk. And it was a good challenge. Like I talked with you about this earlier, and I think that anytime a veteran wrestler kind of makes a superstar earn it, you can kind of feel the realness to that promo.
Yeah.
I think it makes for a better storyline, and I think that's kind of like the old school way. Like, hey, I'm not ready to give it up. You want to take my spot, you better come ready and be ready to be able to do it.
And you're right, Vito. It fits right in line with his character and how he's kind of portrayed himself it's very much what he believes, in his personal life too, like about wrestling, his philosophy on wrestling. This is exactly the position Punk has wanted to be in. Yeah, in a way, he gets to be a little bit of gatekeeper.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is sort of like a sanctioned gatekeeping in a way for him. Of, all right, if you want to get to this level, this is the level that I worked my ass off on the indies to get to. You've been sort of fast tracked because of, the privilege you have with your family name and everything that comes with that. So let's see if you can do it. Let's see if you can measure up when push comes to shove. Like how have you really been tested? So I think Punk presents a very unique challenge for somebody like Ron Breaker.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's a really good point, Mikey. And yeah, I didn't even think about that fact. You're right. I mean, listen, Ron did spend a lot of time down in NXT. Well, you're right. He didn't go through the indies. He didn't work the hard way. He wasn't living out of a van and with $20 to his name like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And listen, I talk about this all the time. If you go back through all of our podcast episodes, I talk about this all the time. And I think like when you were younger and we watched wrestling, these guys valued being at the top because they had to go through those hardships. It wasn't just this cookie cutter system of like, all right, you do this, you're in. Like there was a lot of ups and downs. And I think that's the big difference between a lot of people. So I don't hate what CM Punk is doing. It makes a good storyline. It makes it feel more real. I'm a big fan of Ron Breaker. I think he's very athletic. I think he's got a great future, but I like the way that this is panning out. To that point, though, another thing that happened is veering a little bit off track. Woo, woo, woo. You know it. Rest in peace.
Right. Zack Ryder has died. Matt Cardona has risen like the phoenix from the ashes. It's really remarkable to watch what that guy has done.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll let you continue on this. That goes perfectly in line. Like Cardona has the storyline of never give up, I'm always ready, which is what you need to succeed. Sometimes you have to hit that bottom to understand and appreciate the top and how hard you have to work to get there.
Listen, there's a lot of guys now that we could say that about. There is. You're looking at the WWE champion. Yep. Is an example of that. Right. The world heavyweight champion is an example of that. Yep. So I think it's sort of becoming a rite of passage in a way for some of these folks where you got to leave WWE, leave the comfort of mommy and daddy, get out there and, like experiment. I think that's what it's about, like experimentation. They get to expose themselves to so many different kinds of wrestling, kinds of business practices. I think it's just so good for them to just like become so much more well-rounded as performers and as people too. I don't know.
No, I think you're spot on. I think that's part of it. I think every scenario is a little different. I think the fact that people have to crawl to get someplace, you have much more appreciation for when you're at the top. Like, I think that goes a long way for a lot of people.
Well, you need to have perspective.
You got to have that perspective. If you're just handed it your whole life, like it's not, you're probably not going to be the best that you're going to be because you don't know what it's like to not have that. I'm not saying that happens in all the cases, but I look back at the way wrestling used to be and look at all the guys that were fighting. Like there was points where it was WCW versus WWE, right? Versus WWF.
Yeah.
And they were fighting. They were legitimately fighting each other. So you had to be at your best all the time.
Right.
And if you don't have something like that to fight for, it's very difficult.
No, you're absolutely right. So I think just to that end, that's why these stories are, I think, always going to work.
Yes.
And as long as we're going to have people with multiple avenues getting into WWE, I think you'll be able to have stories like this where somewhere along the lines there'll be another person. And, Cody might end up being that guy because he was able to sort of leave and come back and say, hey, like the world is bigger than WWE, that this is, the biggest stage, but you can learn a lot from those other stages too that will make you a better performer once you get to this stage.
Right.
And that was what was lost with the territories years ago when all of the, the kind of the consolidation happened. And I think you felt ripple effects for a while before, the whole system kind of had to do like a reset. And now there are territories. It's just different than it was. There isn't like the Mid-South territory, but you got GCW and you have other like kind of local type promotions like that. So I think there's a lot for people to learn. And I think you're able, if you could bring that to a national stage, then I think that feeds the business too, because now it's exposing that to other people that may not have known it otherwise. So I don't know. I could get on an existential feedback loop here. So I'll just.
No, I think you're right, though. I'm right in tune with you. And I've been saying this for a while. And for me, it gets me more invested because, listen, everyone loves a good comeback story. Like they do. And when you can see effort from people rather than people being handed things, that resonates with a lot of people. And I truthfully believe that's a thing.
Yeah.
So, I look at, I'll give you a really good example. MJF, right? Dude was told no by WWF. Got an opportunity at AEW, and the dude's relishing it. But I feel like that passion was always there, but because he was told no, it fueled that passion for him to have the type of personality that he has out there, right? You can hear the anger and the desire in his promos. And what he did the other night on Dynamite, where he absolutely buried Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, and Hangman Page, it was pretty unbelievable. If you want to go back and watch that promo, and I challenge you to, go back, watch it, and there's nothing that they could say back to any of the stuff that he was saying.
Listen, when he's hot, nobody can touch him on the mic. Yeah. And whatever he had to do to get himself psyched up to do that, keep doing it because it worked for him. And now that he's a champion, the pressure's going to be there for him to make sure he's hitting it out of the park every time he's out there.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if AW's ratings start to go up. Like, I think for me personally,
don't those feel meaningless at this point though? Like,
right?
How important are they really?
They aren't, but you want to know that people are watching your product or at least interacting with it. And I feel like, for me personally, when I see MJF and I know he's going to be, I've said this before, when I know he's going to be on a Dynamite, or I know I'm going to watch it. But like, if he's sparsely showing up and he's the one thing that I like in AEW, there's a few things I do like in AEW. But for me personally, watching him, I always get entertainment. So I know that's a consistent, I'm going to like it. Whether storylines suck or they don't, like, I always enjoy it.
So I'm saying he's a draw for you.
He's a draw for me. And I would be willing to bet a lot of people, not just me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you on that.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that the fact we have all of this stuff to talk about for us, and we're in 2026. When we started this podcast, we were almost started it as a spite, right? Like, we needed to get stuff off our chest.
Yeah.
We needed to get things off our chest. And a lot of it was related to WWE. We were so high on AEW. We've got this hot new thing in there. And WWE was terrible at the time. Well, I say it was terrible. We had the pandemic, whatever. But we did not like it. Go back and listen. And we have flipped completely. And I think we're at a place now where it's like, all right, we can enjoy this. Like, there's a lot to enjoy out there. And it's great.
I think what you're describing, at least to me, is like an evolution of like how you watch it, like an evolution of like a fandom for us.
Yeah.
And when we did start this, it was out of frustration. We were in the middle of the pandemic, so it was a way to also give us some social engagement with each other, and I think that was great. And it gave us the cathartic experience of being able to say, I really love this thing, and I'm really angry about how it's going. Because that's how it was being a wrestling fan. It just wasn't going well. Just felt like everything we were watching wasn't quality, and AEW was helpful in that. It was something different, and they presented something that put pressure on them to be more creative. So,
Yep.
to WWE's credit, they did. They made changes, and so I think as that happened, and as time goes on, we just get. I feel like I can watch wrestling a lot more freely. I felt like there was a weird pressure where everything I watched I had to like. Yeah, I felt like I think it was an unrealistic expectation for myself. I see that now, but now I can sort of watch what I like, and if there's things that don't really grab me, like I don't have to be angry about it. I don't have to say this is the worst thing I've seen. I don't have to go on any rants. I could just not engage with it. And that's really what it's about. And that's why I said that comment before about viewership and ratings.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really just about how are people engaging with the product. So all that to say, I'm happy with the way my fandom has sort of evolved, that the way, you know, you shift how you watch wrestling. I kind of think of this saying like, you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And that's sort of how I've tried to approach wrestling, and it's actually been really helpful. And I think a lot of people do this. It's nothing unique, but that's been my journey with it. So
No, and I agree with you, Mikey. I think we're coming up. I think this is probably, if we're going to consider this an episode, the episode, I think 95 or 96, we're coming up on our 100th episode.
100.
100 episode started with Big Mango and the leader of men, Bobby Stone.
Shout out to the original.
Yeah, you know what? I think we're gonna try and get them back for the centennial episode. Just kind of bring back the stock alert with Bobby Stone, the leader of men. Oh,
I need it.
We do. We need it. And if anyone's listening and they're actually listening to his stock report when he said bye, made a big mistake if you didn't. So, But yeah, I agree with you on all that. I think what's great about this podcast is we are fans just talking about wrestling. Me and you do this naturally without a podcast. And we've been lucky enough over the last 6 years to be able to vent, to be able to celebrate, to have guests that are wrestlers on here, to have authors on here, stuff that I don't know that we saw that actually coming. And I think it's a great outlet for us to just talk about wrestling. And I think we are also doing it at a time where wrestling is at a peak and a pinnacle, and it's evolving. And I think it's great. And I think we're going to have a lot of good stuff coming out this year. And if you're listening again, this is a kind of a shoot episode, I would say. We're in the car, SFG ride along style. So, I think I pretty much covered that part.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say. We kind of waxed poetic a little bit tonight. So, when you meet somebody like Kurt Angle, you try to use the 3 I's: intensity, integrity, and intelligence. And I feel like all 3 of those were exemplified tonight. Great, this conversation. You, Vito. This was great.
It's true. It's true.
All right, guys. Well, like Vito said, we got the 100th episode coming your way, and really looking forward to what 2026 is going to bring us. So, with that being said, until next time, keep on strutting, jabronis.